to speak Hebrew, do they understand Hebrew? Abanawa by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah Kwam Yashala. What I just said. What did I just say? Tell the people what I just said. Tell the people what I just said. Tell them what I just said. Tell them what I just said. Abanawa by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah Kwam Yashala. Tell them what I said. What did I just say? What I just said. And the Bible says in the law.
Hey, Shalom, giving all praises to Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem HaKodash, double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. So the beloved elder Manatazakba had shared this clip that was put up by Bishop Nathaniel, the IUIC, on his TikTok. And he titled it, this is Bishop Nathaniel here, right? He titled it, "The Language Doctrine Foolishness Continued All the Way into the Country of Fiji." Now, this made me both happy and upset, right? Happy naturally because it shows that you have brothers, right? You have members of the sincere elect, Lord willing, in the country of Fiji. And it also shows you that the will of Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi is being done when he said that his word will reach to all four corners of the earth. And likewise, you get upset because clearly someone is upset that when they travel the world, that everywhere they go, they hear that name, Yahawashi, Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi. For some reason, that upsets this man, Bishop Nathaniel. Let's listen to that again.
To speak Hebrew, do they understand Hebrew? Abanawa by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah Kwam Yashala. What I just said. What did I just say? Tell the people what I just said. Tell the people what I just said. Tell them what I just said. Tell them what I just said. Abanawa by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah Kwam Yashala. Tell them what I said. What did I just say? What I just said. And the Bible says.
So, Did you see, it's funny because, he'll put this up and they put this up as if they're like proving a point. You're not proving a point to the simple, but you're not proving a point here. Okay. First of all, to answer your question, what you said, Abanawa Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah. Okay. You saying our Father, Yahawah, in the name of his son, Yahawashi, bless them. That's not hard to break down. That's not the same way you learned it. You teach other people, but we know how these guys play their games, right? But the little caption, that might be automatic, but while he was speaking Hebrew, it was just captioned as foreign language. That might just be the app. I'm not going to say they did that intentionally. But, he put this up as if this is to shed light on something bad, something negative. No, it's shedding the light on something positive. It's shedding the light that you have two brothers here who believe.
Right. Ask these men that's telling us to speak Hebrew, do they understand Hebrew? Abanawa by Hashem Yahawashi Barakadah Kwam Yashala.
These two brothers right here believe. They've heard the truth and they believe in Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi. So they're out there. And what are they saying? You got to call him by his Hebrew name. His name is Yahawashi. His name is Yahawashi. His name is Yahawashi. And this guy he's responding because they have a script. They respond in one way. Okay? And they think that they're proving a point by saying that. Also, if I speak Hebrew, who's going to break it down? But that's why you explain it to them. You just simply break it down. And we're not saying you have to speak fluent Hebrew, but you do have to know some Hebrew. And if there's one name that's important to know, it's Yahawashi. That's important to know. His name and the Father's name, Yahawah, Yahawashi. That's not hard to learn. It's to learn any other language. You have a lot of bilingual men in your camp. You have men in your camp learning another language. You mean to tell me you can't stop to let them learn some Hebrew? You mean to tell me you can't stop to teach the congregation, your followers, listen to some Hebrew? Huh? So, hey, Barakadah Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi, for these two brothers to put the spirit on them to proclaim that name in the midst of these men of IUIC, because what the Lord is doing, that he's making a plain to this guy here, okay, Bishop Nathaniel. He's letting it be known to Bishop Nathaniel that Yahawashi has the power to have his word reach the four corners of the earth. He don't need you to do that. That's what these men try to boast in. They'll try to boast, Bishop Nathaniel, what he wants to boast in is that they're the only Israelite group that's going on the four corners teaching the Bible. But the thing is, they're not even teaching 100% truth. They don't even teach the name. They'll fly all the way over there and won't teach the name. You see, they just want to teach that the so-called, they just want to teach that the Messiah is a so-called black man and, law, statutes, and commandments. But they won't even teach the name. They won't teach we're saved by grace and mercy. And the scriptures tell you why. The scriptures tell you why. I'm going to read it. But look how he captioned it. He said, the language, doctrine, foolishness continued all the way into the country of Fiji. You want to know why he said that? Is because he's mad. He's mad because in his opinion, that name shouldn't be there. How is that name there? The bum camp, GMS, the bum camp, they don't travel the world. We the ones that travel the world. How the heck do they know this doctrine that we not teaching? We not bringing the name when we teach, but how do they know the name? Because that's the glory of Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi. I first want to read that. This is Acts 5, verse 38. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or if this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of Yahawah, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found even to fight against Yahawah. So, to Bishop Nathaniel, you could be found fighting against Yahawah by trying to, because by trying to travel the world and you think like, I'm going to travel the world, you're going to travel the world and still try to debunk the name on the four corners. That means you're fighting against the Lord. You're fighting against Yahawah Shem Yahawashi. What was the point of that clip? To show your congregation, can you believe this foolishness? The name doctrine has reached the country of Fiji. So what? You're telling me, so what are you doing? You're going there to debunk the name? Is that what you're going down there to do? You think that's part of your fight? But the scripture says, lest ye be found even to fight against Yahawah. Haply, I'm pretty sure that means you just happen. Let me see. Greek word for haply, mepoti. It says that not lest, whether or not, in no way perhaps, right? So in perhaps you find yourself fighting against the Lord. All right, the apostles and elders asked them if they ever step foot in Fiji. I wouldn't even know Fiji is a place that exists if it wasn't for the Truman Show. But yet the glory of the name is there. How is that? Because that's the glory of Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi. Part of Bishop Nathaniel, his jet-setting agenda campaign, he believes, and because this is what he glories in, right? He wants to glory in the fact that he's telling the congregation, look, we're putting your money to good use. We're going to four corners. We're the ones doing this. Ain't nobody else doing that. And he wants to glory in that. And what the apostles and elders have been saying, we don't have to do that. We do realize that. Because that's what he'll say. Oh, these guys, they don't travel the world. They're not doing this. They're not going to. We don't have to do that. Because the Lord created the internet for the purpose of carrying his name and his doctrine to the four corners of the earth. That's literally the whole point. But when men take it upon themselves like Bishop Nathaniel, it's because he doesn't believe that the Lord has the power to do that. He doesn't believe that the Lord's capable of doing that. So he wants to do it himself. You understand? But but just know that irks him. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm the one traveling the world. How the heck is this name? How's that landing in this place, that place? Right? It's because, maybe it's because you're fighting against Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi. You ever start to think about that? This is the book of Galatians. I am pretty sure it's Galatians. One moment. Okay, yes, it is Galatians. This is Galatians. And I can read this in the NLT. Galatians 6, Verse 12, it says, those who are trying to force you to be circumcised want to look good to others. They don't want to be persecuted for teaching that the cross of the Lord alone can save. Because Paul is referring to the Galatians, right? And he's having an issue with them trying to boast in the fact that they were starting to go back to the belief that you have to keep the law to be saved. Which the men of IUIC, when they're traveling and just setting, they believe they're doing the will of the Lord because they believe that they're traveling the four corners, telling them that the Messiah is a so-called black man and that they need to keep the law. The issue is that they're giving off the vibe that you must keep the law to be saved. But you don't. We're not saying you don't keep the law, because that's what they'll say. When you read the scriptures, right, the apostles, especially the Apostle Paul, even Yahawashi, was accused of trying to teach against the law, but we're not teaching to break the law. But they were accused of trying to teach to break the law. They was like, you telling people to break the law. Yahawashi said, no, I'm not. Okay. He said, I came not to do away with the law, but to fulfill the law. Apostle Paul was accused of, oh, this man is telling us to break the law. That's what they try to accuse us when we teach that it's all about grace, mercy, and faith. That's how we're going to be saved. The law doesn't justify you. The law is important. We keep the laws to the best of our ability, but the law doesn't justify us. What justifies us is our faith in Yahawashi. That's what justifies us. And that name is important. But the men of IUIC believe if we have to travel the four corners and we have to tell them that they have to keep the law. Okay? But here's the thing. They'll travel and jet set, but they won't teach the name. They omit that from the doctrine. There's a reason for it. They're just doing that for the glory of themselves. As he says, those who are trying to force you to be circumcised want to look good to others. They don't want to be persecuted for teaching that the cross of Hamashiach alone can save. And even those who advocate circumcision don't keep the whole law themselves. They only want you to be circumcised so they can boast about it and claim you as their disciples. Exactly. The men of IUIC, they don't even keep the laws themselves. First of all, they teach a consistent Friday to Saturday sundown Sabbath, which is incorrect. But the thing is, they will condemn the Christian church because the Christian church go to church on Sundays and they say you're sinning, it's supposed to be a Saturday. But if you was to ask them to explain that in the scriptures, they're just going to read about the seventh day. But if you say, well, wait a minute, we working off the Gregorian calendar. The Hebrews went off the new moon, so you're really supposed to go off the moon, right? Then they're gonna look like a bunch of fools. They're gonna say, well, everybody don't know that. And yeah, well, that's the whole point of you teaching. It is the whole point of you teaching. There's a video of IUIC, St. Louis, actually. They went into a barbershop and they argued that. They was like, you're supposed to Sabbath Saturday. But then the brother in there said, well, that's because, we on different calendars, right? You got the Gregorian calendar and then you got he's like, yeah, all right. But everybody don't know that. It's like, well, that's the whole point of you teaching them. You see, they're not ready for anybody that comes up to have any kind of knowledge. They want to go out there and they're going to be like, look, we're the authority. You just do what we say. Anybody that opposes them, which really is just anybody that has understanding, they try to make them to look out to be bad or evil. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of that clip. You just had the brother say, look, Yahawashi. And what was he trying to do? He was trying to make a fool out of him. You didn't make a fool out of him. When you said Abanaw Yahawashi Bashem, when you said Abanaw Yahawah Bashem Yahawashi Barak Thumb, he said, hey, all praises. He said, Shalom. But that's the whole point. They go out, look, we're the only ones that know anything. If anybody that comes up thinking they know anything, their whole thing is to try to make them look bad, try to make them look evil. And that's why they'll label their videos that. You'll watch a video and they'll label it, but hurt this, that, came up, got destroyed by the deacon, the bishop or whatever. And you watch the video, man, they just had a decent conversation. There was no evil, nothing. The brother just came up, listen, hey, I support y'all, such and such. And they'll go back and forth. Yeah, this the law and that. But when they upload the video, it's something to make the person look bad. You see, there are a bunch of damn snakes, man. But they'll just sit over there like, oh, we're here to help. But in actuality, they're just there to try to create disciples for themselves. All right, then Yahawashi said they will compass sea and land to make one proselyte, but they make him twofold, a child hell of themselves, man. All right, but it goes on. Verse 14, No, that's it. That's it. Yeah. It says they only want you to be circumcised, so they boast about it and claim you as a disciple. That's all they're doing. When they travel the four corners, they want to put them people in purple, stamp their name there and say, we've been here and you are our disciples. But they won't teach the name though. Scripture says, lest happily you be found fighting against Yahawashi. Okay? You don't know it, but you're fighting against the Lord, and the Lord is showing you proof that he doesn't need us. He don't need us, man. He don't need us to travel the world. He got this. That's his power. That's his will. And you don't believe he has the power to do that, which is why you're taking it upon yourself to do that. You know what I'm saying? But we know why. It's just for your own agenda. It's to push your own name, push your agenda, because they'll make sure they'll know your name, but you won't tell them the Lord's name. But guess what? The name of Yahawashi is in Fiji, because you have Lord willing elect amongst Fiji, and they're telling you their name. Wherever you go, you're going to hear the name Yahawashi. And just know the apostles and elders didn't have to take a single plane or book a hotel to get that name over there. Yahawashi has the power to use the internet, to use our letters, our video epistles, to proclaim his name on all four corners of the earth. That's fulfilling prophecy. And you can't stop that. You could travel the world and try to teach against the Hebrew all you want. You fight against Yahawashi and you will lose that fight. Psalms 19. The heavens declare the glory of Yahawah, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. That's the heavens, that's the skies, that's even the internet. Okay. It says, day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them had he set a tabernacle for the sun. This is prophecy saying that this truth would be broadcasted on the four corners of the earth via the internet. And that's the glory of Yahawashi. This is his glory. He don't need us, and he don't need you to go anywhere so that you can counsel the people and teach them who they are and teach them that the Messiah is black. But you won't tell them his name, though. You won't tell them the name. You do away with the Hebrew. But you'll come over there and try to put them in fringes. Okay, you going over there to countries like Kenya, and you're telling them, which, by the way, they practice polygamy, multiple wives. You're going over there and you're telling them they're sinning and they got to put away their wives. Of course, you're going to be met with backlash. What the hell's the matter with you? But Yahawashi said it. Right. Well, we can read that first. The Lord covered literally everything when it comes, especially Matthew 23. Matthew 23, 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte. And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So you're going over there trying to recruit members, and while you're recruiting them, you're trying to tell them to teach against the name. If anybody says the name Yahawah, Yahawashi, you need to say this, you need to say that. You turning them into a damn devil. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. The book of Romans 10, verse 16. Oh, sorry. Verse 13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord of Yahweh shall be saved. Call upon the name. IUI gonna say, no, that really means keep the laws. But it's talking about the name, okay, Yahawashi. Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? How shall they hear without a preacher? Okay. How shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the voice of the gospel. For Isaiah saith, Lord, who have believed our report? So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahawah. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the end of the world. How is that? Via internet. And it's faith by hearing. They heard those names, Yahawashi. They believed it. That's the faith. Okay, that's not of men. That's of Yahawashi. That's not of the works of men. See, IUIC, just like those wicked scribes and Pharisees, they were known for the outward appearance, and they wanted the glory in the works of men. But this is about what the glory of Yahawashi. As it is written, we have this treasure in earthen vessels, so that it is not of us, but of Yahawah. The glory is of Yahawah. This is all for the glory of Yahweh by Shem Yahawashi. So we praise Yahweh by Shem Yahawashi for those brothers and the believers in the country of Fiji. For it is his word that's the reason that this word spread. Okay? It's his word. This is why proclaiming those names actually does work. So keep proclaiming those names. Yahweh by Shem Yahawashi. Shalom.